And we back. And this one right here, Peace of Islam and Salwe, greetings. And this one right here, we're gonna do a review. We're gonna look closely at the place names and some more events. We're gonna look at the creation of the Indies, so-called Indies, so-called Canaries, and the overthrow of Mariecos of Morocco by Portugal. We're gonna look at the maps and a few events. The actual conquerors by name and date. And we ain't gonna leave no stone unturned. We ain't gonna generalize this. We gonna hit straight to the facts. So let's go. The deposit of the kingdom, or Cartagena, is very poor as the land of blacks. So Tierra de Negros is what the Spanish map started to call that area, what we call, or they used to call it the Canaries. Included in the Castilian conquest, being reduced and largely inaccessible, in addition to being a general tendency to seek asylum on land controlled by the Sharif. So people started to desert the area and go into the land still owned by the Moors. Not owned, but controlled, because the whole land is called Land of Moors. The whole continent at one point. The term America itself means land of Moors. But anyway, the incorporation of the Portuguese crown made him flourishing, full of blacks, so-called Negroes, so-called blacks, from Santo Tome, Mina, and Cape Verde. Now remember these terms, we're going to look at maps later. When the controller of traffic took the crown through the black seats, it declined again. So they've created seats, like they always say, they use puppets. They use your own people, and they make them governors and stuff. So that's what they've been doing. Like we still have to do. We have rulers. We have people who got higher positions who look like us, but what? We still feeling so-called white supremacy, aren't we? It declined again. In 1595, the first entered into the force, leaving Guinea and its deposit close to individuals, with no exception than those graced with a license from the council. So, start to be have to have a license on your own land. After documenting the presence of the Indies of Moorish natives or Muslim converts, such as La Fundimenta, mentioned by Castellanos, Carlos I feared that, encouraged by Islam, triumphed in Guinea, they would join the Sharif. So the Moors were still kicking ass in Guinea while the Christians had take the Indies. So the war became Moros y Cristianos on this side. And we're going to look at the map later to show how that worked. He did not attempt to expatriate the Merican infidels, which is the Moors who've been in his so-called territory, the Indies and the Canaries, which we can look at as the islands, parts of Central America, Mexico, and the Canaries. Colombia and Venezuela area. When they say India, we talking about Castile. Or we say Canaries, we talk about Castile. We say Portugal, for the most part, they didn't really change nothing up. They still had some of the old Moorish names in their squares. He decreed in August 1543, he decreed that the newly converted Moors, so that's Carlos the First, of peninsular origin, their children and grandchildren should be shipped to Castile without leaving one. Having changed the circumstances, Felipe II, in voice coup, of wars. Exile after the War of Alpujarras, bound for Florida. See, shipping you all around. A province that, more than being poor, enjoy a reputable and tractable population, supplying in Cuba, San Domingo, and the hot lands, which is they're talking about like lands for dark skinned people. Don't the sun don't hurt us, so they're using these areas. They will take and use these captives wars from these wars, and like the slave story I already try to tell y'all, the slave story is built into this too. They just create a whole new story behind it when they all built into this: the discovery story, the transatlantic story, and the story between Moros and Cristianos, all boiled down to the story where we deal with about America. The decline of population, a consequence of the system that condemned the indigenous population to forced labor and perpetuity. So they talk about the indigenous population. They're talking about the Moors. They've been captured in these wars. We ain't really talking about the war of Alpujarras only. We're talking about the wars on the side too. The Ghanaian wars or the Canary wars are Moros and Cristianos war, Moors and Christian wars on the side. And they had the same fate except to the colonies that they controlled. Between 1539 and 1541, Mahamete, king of Morocco, launched an offensive, which was to culminate in serious retreat from Portugal. Controlled revolt in Sousse and Guinea. The Sharif recovered Safi, the island of Mogador, with Santa Cruz del Cabo de Gui and Azamor. So remember all those names. We're going to see it all in a minute. Leaving the Portuguese Mazagan, thanks to its wall. Once the Es Sardine dynasty was consolidated, the Portuguese king concealed the defeat, presenting, and they did it with a lot of your ancestors over here. They conceal everything. We learning about them right now. We learning about, write this down, Moorish Americans. Muhammad Day. And you can see it could be, we're gonna read about a couple of these Moors. And we see that they fought 1539 to 1541. Muhammad Day, king of Mariecos, just translated into English. This is Morocco in English, which means land of Moors. And Spanish, it's Mariecos. And New Latin, it's America. Or America, if you don't want to use the. And Old Punic Latin is Maricanos. Or Americanos, if you want to use the. In Maltese, it's Tamerica, if you want to use the, which is the t. If you don't, just Merica, like we use the day. America, we using the. We don't even much know what language that is. That's why we erroneously use it like that. But they know what's up because they make T-shirts that say America without the E. So they know, like I know, it's unnecessary. It's just the. Anyway, the English version is Morocco. We don't say it in English. We say it in New Latin, America. And the French will be Morocco with an A. Similar to the English, being that it's the parent language. So once the Es Sardines dynasty was consolidated, the Portuguese king concealed the defeat, presenting as a volunteer the transfer of customs from Santa Cruz to Sierra Leone on the island from Porto Santo, soon known for the wealth of its rescues, gold, and Negroes, which is with, like we see, the Africa, side of Africa that when first exploited this side. But the climate of the Orinoco Delta proved white so bad that it had to be transferred to Santiago de Cabo Verde. So, you know what? Heartlands, as they say. Upstream, the Santo Tome y Mina, which is the mine, posts remain as secondary custom. And the crown prince of Juan III, who died during his father's life, was titled Prince of Brazil. So he take on that title because he didn't. They already lose all their squares from the Moors. And you see, he says ships to the Indies and Levante. The Indies, like I said earlier, is just the conquered areas from Castile. Levante is what they ain't conquered yet, so they still calling it more stuff like Levante or Barbaria or Merica or anything that we still been calling it. Once they registered, matter of fact, let's continue to talk about that, how the place name changed. The disappearance of Santa Cruz and Mar Pequena as a place name and jurisdiction of the tower coincides with the in the tower Santa Cruz de Africa was the name of the tower. They had to get rid of that because that would have put a dent in what they were trying to do, which is make Africa, quote unquote, into what we see as Africa today. Only instead of that and the rest of it, which is America and Asia and stuff like that. So it coincides with the profound remodeling of the laws of the Indies. In 1511, Fernando V forbade the entry of the conquest of Moorish or Jewish converts, Sabine knighted and burned for heretical brevity. So now you see why you start to forget your old ways, both Moorish and Jewish, up to the fourth generation. So generationally, the shortage of the volunteer settler forced him to rectify the mandate. So every time shit start to fuck up, then they want to go back to the old ways a little bit, try to, you know, relief up on some of this hate and stuff they've been doing. Authorizing entry into the Indies with no other requirement than to enunciate a name and a place of origin, recorded in some books of the king, which were soon lost. So, so-called lost the old names of the people and lands. Under Carlo V, the fifth, the goal of Mexico and Peru woke up so many migrant vocations. The emperor returned to the national team, forbidding the judges to condemn the religious ideological contamination to exile in the Indies. So basically saying a lot of people who've been undesirable started to move up into his territories, and he really needed most of them Castilians and all these conquerors. They find out at the end of the day they couldn't even build a stable place without Moors, because the Moors had not to do all the stuff like the fucking planting and the harvesting, and they had no, because this is their land. They started to realize quick when certain places on the other side of the world start to lose the riches and the stuff that they've been getting and the foods and stuff that they've been getting from the old Moors from over here. They start complaining to the Emperor Carlos that we want them back the old way. a whole lot of connections been already connected around the world based off the American commerce. They messed that up and they realized real fast that this shit ain't gonna work. The emperor's credit included the few humanitarian, just like the day really how the whole world called me fuck out because I'm greedy, some few greedy people. The emperor's credit included the few humanitarian measures that the American enjoy. So he's trying to get them humanitarian measures to try to keep them. He ordered that the Muslim, a voluntary vassal of the Crown of Castile or Portugal, could not be subjugated to slavery. See, now they can't get subjugated to slavery laws. They pledge their allegiance to Castile or Portugal. So, because he really need them in the colonies, but he don't want them in the colonies, except in the case of proselytizing or participating in a revolt, suppressing all disguised form of slave labor in the Indies, declared vassals natives as a whole. So basically, he declared everybody over here his vassals, i.e., Indians. So that's the beginning of that. Right? The word Indian don't exist until this time right here. Until Carlos and his grandmama Isabel and the rest of them, Castile. And we know Castile and Aragon together makes up Spain. But that even ain't really been how it going down. That's why we always see just Castile. We don't never see Spain and Portugal. We see Castile, that's the family who was not playing, and that's what they call it after they conquered it by force. They call it the Indies, or India, Superior India Minor. And he declared all natives vassals, meaning that people who are known as natives here as vassals according to Christian ideology. Yet, the word America means land of Moors in the Christian language, Christianized Roman language. So it's all confusing. We're going to try to cut through all the confusion in this video. They were entitled to a wage, the half and the fifth being suppressed, prohibited entrusting Indians, so they prohibited even trusting them, even though they had named them people and shit, forcing them to contribute in kind of an encomendero, which like we deal with today. We get the worst jobs, the laborers jobs and stuff, in payment to catechizers. Decree that the existing ones be extinguished upon the death of the holder, so they control your estates and destroying your history as they go. The kings of Castile and Portugal took advantage of the civil wars between the Muslims. So basically, at the time of the conquest, we've been at war with each other, which nobody don't disagree with because they call it Indian Wars. To expand their conquest, so they've been trying to expand their conquest in America, but they took advantage of you fighting each other. Like we always trying to say, we gotta stop fighting each other because of that simple reason right there. The decline of the Benin Marines or Marines coincide with the attempt of Enrique IV to seize the territory, including between those of Cape Cabos de Ager or Portugal. Pedro de Vira been him and Moxica, I remember they been from here and dark skin, conquered Gran Canaria, Palma, and Tenerife, taking advantage of the commotion, with accompanied the Utasi siege of power. Lugo's War and the Colombian operation took place parallel to the entry of the Morabitos on the political scene. And the Morabitos was not playing. They were taking these Moors like this, and the Moors moves in like, hey, who you been? If you been over here with that game, they been after you. And some of the Muslims, some of these Christian Moors, they've been all about commerce. So ain't nobody in the wrong. But the Morabitos in that care about your commerce or your trade or none of that if you've been over here with the kidnapping of their people. Or over here with that evilness. So they've been keeping everything in line for a while too. So they step on the political scene. Misplacement and duplicity of place names confuse the directions by not the navigator. Without paying attention to the cartographic confusion, while they could resist the pressures, they continue navigating the usual routes, frequenting the usual rescues. So she's saying basically, even though they start to change stuff on maps and stuff, the people who still know that they've been going back and forth, been still going back and forth for a while. in history. Nowadays, we all under the spells of these maps and confusion, but not all, but the majority of what she's saying ain't really work at first. While they continued to resist the pressures to frequenting the usual rescues, starting from Andalusia, the Guinea route was preferred. So it's about to get into a bunch of old place names again. English and the French followed the one of the north, happening through the fishery of Barbary or cod. So even from the north, you still calling it Barbary on record, which is the areas that we used to frequent back and forth when you see them advertising. We got the Dutch and the Netherlands and all that on the advertising with the more look like the American native when he got the tobacco and they selling them back and forth with the English. That's the reason why, because sales been going on up there all the way down to the bottom, and they all been Morocco to Europeans back then. To the Christians, that's why America today, because you've been in Morocco. But if you say it in Christian Latin, that's how you're gonna say it. Al Merica, in that version. Just like Afriquia would be the Punic Latin, and Africa, as we see today, is the Roman Latin. No different. So you see, the American coast was so close to Europe on that part, right, in the northern parts, that according to Hurtado de Mendoza, a geographer of the 17th century, they called it Mediterranean. That's what we're trying to tell. Well, the Treaty of Peace of Friendship allegedly happened in the Mediterranean, but where the Mediterranean at in this time is what we gotta say, not in our time. First to cross we gotta realize that at the time of the treaty, right? Forced to cross the Saragossa Sea to hit the islands and mainland of the Indies, the New Spain fleet sometimes followed, entering through Lanzarote. We'll look at that. The first land to be sighted, sailing through, the fleets went south, separating in the Deseada, jurisdiction of Fuerteventura, entering the Tierra Firme. Sometimes they call Tierra Firme Tierra de Negros or Tierra de Moros, according to which these Europeans we getting this from. Most of her records is from the Europe side because she got the records of Granada after the fall of Granada from her family. So we don't got records from an Arabic from the side of the Moors, but a lot of the Moors speaking in Moorish Latin or Spanish, those records been coming inside her family thing, so we got some records from these Moors. Matter of fact, most of the records is from Moors, it's just in Latin, but we don't got them from the Arabic side. A lot of those records was in Arabic, but through Martinique and Santa Lucia, or Lucia, and that's what even the routes they were taking. We know that from the records that they got with the port records that they using. When the ships of New Spain, those from Honduras, so you see Spain already operating from this side too, Campeche and the Canary Islands sailed with the Tierra Firme, those of Venezuela, the island and Trinidad, closed the ports of Sharife, the Guinea route, which indicated Alonso de Palencia. I am left to bonneteros and fishermen, friends of all, for not expecting anything from anyone. So basically, the Guinea route and the ports of Sharif been closed for a long time, so they can't really go that way. They used to go all the way around that area to get to certain parts. Because we wasn't playing. We would shoot you right before you even get close. We had the port set up. And we still got all those ports, not ports, forts set up all over, still down there right now. They use it as museums and stuff now. Or they probably still use it. The government probably refurbished them, use them now at the area. The Castilians who went to Guinea, land of Moors, were provided with a license to rescue, not required in the Canary Islands. We already read this, right? The Portuguese who took it to the Kingdom of Fez to discover a turn order and all read that. So basically, license to rescue, which means the church be giving them licenses to go into the land of Moses to rescue Christians who being held captive. But a lot of the time, they just using those licenses to go kidnap Moses. Not required in the Canary Islands at this time because that's the conquest of Castile. They already got that. The Portuguese who took it to the Kingdom of Fez to discover, a term that means recognize, which means rename, which allow loading and registering visited by forgotten land with no other requirement than to give it a new name. It did not seem that Columbus took it on the first trip, but there are witnesses who claimed it because they were introduced on his return. From now on, for those who intended to register a land in their name, enjoying the planned tax licenses. So I saw Columbus's, the Colons. Now, but they had set up a Cologne school, and he been just a student. It's like we're about to see a bunch of the students. They come, they conquer, and they rename things. On Fonseca pattern is lost. The map attributed to Juan de la Costa. We will look at his map later. Got the oldest map of the Americas on the side of the Christians, because we had maps thousands of years before these people. That was more. So you can see their map. We can see the terms of their map. In terms of profiles and signs, since place names and annotation have no relation to documented reality, so that means you can't use that to deal with reality. Because like we showing you, you can switch the whole map in the world and you wouldn't know nothing. But we deal with geography. What you can't take a whole waterfall and put it on the other side of the world. You have waterfalls on that side, but if we looking at geography, you wouldn't be able to change the whole geography that's being described inside the author a navigator's book. They describe a place. You can't change that. So acquired at a century-old Parthian auction, in which value acquired by antiquities incited counterfeiting. We must admit that the ships, so they call it counterfeit because it gave up too much game in that map that somebody got it from an auction, but it was known as counterfeited. We must admit that the ships anchored in front of the river of slaves, or the Merica, coincide with coastal part 7,000 miles or 12,000 kilomiles from Guadalquivir, which is in Spain, which Alonso de Palencia point out as having arrived in Guinea. Antiport of the Moluccas for Gamara. Those are different things that show up on maps, and Guinea is one of the earliest one, and that just means rich and gold. Guinea, Geny. Costa de la Gamora and Hierro, and the conquest of Portugal, and we're gonna see that inside the maps. The banners that indicate successive ports coincide with the stopover of merchants and the roadsides, frequented in the 17th century. So these a bunch of names: Safi, Cabo de Aguirre, Sale, Marmora or Arguin, Paria, which is the ancient Paris, word for Paris, and in the Caribbean, Santa Cruz de la Marquina. And we see that on the old map of Florida, showing that near as the Gulf of Mexico on the old maps. And San Cristobal on hides the isthmus, pointing to the lawsuit that in 1490 he faced before the heirs of Rome, the crowns of Castile and Portugal, because he been on this little slick mission to go name stuff that they already had named. So he just steal it from them, so they take his ass to trial with the shit. San Cristobal, which started today. And this right here, showing before the conquering, this one already known as Fez or Morocco. And we got Sali. And we will get a closer look at how it been before the conquest. And The reason why she marked the red parts because this was all you had to conquer in these ports, and the rest was already yours because the ports is what's important. Get control of the ports and the fort. You don't have to really get control of the entire continent. You just take the port or the fort, and you got the continent. Like chess. Take the castle. And at the end of the day, people like us, we love living by the water. So there goes that. But we can see we got the names. It's the first conqueror right there. When we get Lanzarote from him. And then he goes down to us. And this all before 1492. After Lugo, we come in the Colon. Of the Cologne, what we call Columbus, the Genoese. But all these Colons who've been to the Cologne school, you can see the dates and the different places that they create. Lanzarote, 1310, 1312. They get rid of all these colons in order to create the 1492 Cologne, using all these lands and stories that they did and give them to him to make it right to discover something new. To get rid of that, the fact that they've been making war against Moors, right? And taking Moorish lands because that means they'll have to give it back. So they create a discovery of a new world, meaning that it ain't belong to nobody. We discovered it, but we don't, we're going to do the real shit. So Lanzarote, like 1393, Lanzarote and Fuerteventura, 1402 and 1406, and all these names get pushed over to the Canary Islands, but we're talking about America. Lanzarote, Palma, Ventura, and Tenerife, so we're getting more and more of this area right now. And all this right here is the Indies that be after Castile get part of it, like just before 1492. After 1492, that's when everything started to be really called the Indies and stuff like that. And Gran Canaria, 1445, 1478. Gran Canaria, Palma, and Tenerife. You can see they trying to conquer the same places because they ain't really just taking them over one walk. Look like 100 years going by before it really going down. Gran Canaria, Palma, Tenerife, and Barbaria, which is starting to get closer to this parts of this where the Sharif started to thing. So it's a quick story. I put everything in perspective a little bit. You continue the incursions of Canaries and their conquests. Manuel I, and then later of March 15th, see when they say in their conquest with courts, it means that people fighting for shit that ain't even been theirs from the get-go, they stole it. So they started fighting for the lands that they already stole. The English and Dutch come along, and other powers started to come along, fight for the Indies and shit. And through all those times, the Sharifs keep holding on to pieces of the land, but it's hard to hold on to pieces of land when your people acting like they other things. They saying they Portuguese now, and Spanish, and Indians, and all these other things now. So all the new things creeping in, and all the old creeping out. But we gonna bring the old back. Excuse me. So in the letter of March 15th, 1510, reminded Fernando that Tagaos belonged to his conquest. So basically he's saying, no, I steal that. You can't steal that because I steal that. Warning that the knights of his house, with the appointment of a factory, was sailing to the, well, they're using that as a governor, was sailing to the Cape of Aguirre, his wife and children, with which he should notify his governor in the Canary Islands, which is America, forbidding him to attack the ship but he was undoubtedly due on his own initiative, if not control. It may be, it may have been this Yao Lopez de Sequeiras disembarked at Tagios in the kingdom of Mecca or Mesa. He announced to the vessels of Manuel I the arrival of 50 Portuguese knights installed in the house of Agadir, proper to the king of Portugal. They would ensure the safety of the province and its inhabitants. And that's where a lot of the times you've been doing too. You fight in Castile, so you will take Portugal and tell them, listen, I'll give you this little area right there, but you gotta stop Castile from coming through. So making them fight each other. Same tactics they used against you. They get that from you. He announced to the vessels of Manuel I, so you already read that. He said, they would assure the safety of the province and its inhabitants, heeding the power and letters of the king, when expressing the intention to bold strength. Those of Mecca overcame the resistance of Jews, distributing jugs of wine. So when she said Jews, at this point, she's talking about these Cretan Spanish. Right, saying who like already I learned the science of shit that learned from the actual Jews of Spain back in the day. It was more. At this point in the book, but since we ain't reading the whole book, I just want to explain that part. And she said that indigent, the Muslims of the environment, so the people who under this creed of over here getting tired of all this bullshit going on. Vassals of the Sharif declared war on Portugal, on those of Portugal, entering their land, to steal their children. He put that in quotes because history don't put the Moors as the indigenous people of this land. The Muslims, they put, who they want to put over the so-called First Nations. And they bring these Moors and they take these Moors and put them in Africa. But if you want to talk about, if you talk about somebody stealing your children, they gotta mean indigenous people, because conquerors don't bring their children. They might assimilate into the people when they come and conquer them, and they have children here. But no documents ever show a fleet of conquerors coming with children. So I say that was their children who have to be the ones who, all these people come over here want to deal with commerce and play games, but we got to watch our children. Just like today, all these foreigners all around here, they got another home, they got a second home, wherever that may be, Poland, China, Russia, all these people, but not us, not this Moors Americans. We home, and our children here. So people got to realize that when they foreigners and they come here with these games and they want to play, you got somewhere to run up this ship saying. Felipe II acquired 2 hostages in Lisbon, who approached him to Barbary of Westeros, which is basically America, procuring him an instrument of pressure which counterbalanced the king of Portugal, captive of Sharife Hamete, Muley Nazar. And the reason why she uses different terms for America all the time, because nobody used the term America. They use different terms because basically they're saying land of Moors. They just got different ways to say that than the Roman Christians who create that version of the term. Morocco, just another term, a version of that. This means land of Moors. In some record books she got it actually right, just out land of Moors. Tierra de Negros, whatever language they're speaking. Or Tierra de Moros. So sometimes they'll say land of blacks. And that's in the Spanish, but you already know. You're dealing with conqueror. You're dealing with a conquered state if you're dealing with that version of the shit. Or you never take the original version and change the word from Tierra de Moros to Tierra de Negros on their maps. Here we go, some more Moorish Americans. Which counterbalanced the king of Portugal, captive of Sharife Hamete. So we got another Hamete. He got the Portugal king captive right now. Muley Nazar, brother of Mahamete, the king of Morocco, who drowned in the Locus, or the lake, after the battle of Alcazar Quibir, who took refuge in Asila, and Muley Mahamete, son and heir of the deceased, surprised by the defeat in Sousse, he entered the Portugal plaza of Mazagan, where he embarked for Tavira in 1590. Having lost hope of returning to his homeland, Nazar asked Austria for a boat to take him to the Guinea coast and boarding on Arguim, since he wanted to die among those Arabs. And again, she put in quotes because Arabs don't supposed to be on the side, right? This ain't Arabia, right? But just like about everything else, they confuse you with the meaning of these words later. So you have to go back and get the origin of these words and realize that it ain't mean what we think it mean. Matter of fact, over here we had names like Arabes, and not just Arabs, but it's just in American form, Arabes. Or they call some as Azaningues. Bunch of different names. Okay, I think just the last one we're gonna read, and then we're gonna get into some of these maps. There are those who deny the existence of Morocco as a country or kingdom or empire before the 18th century. It is true that it has decreased since it has been reduced to the Algarve of Barbaria. We're going to look at that later. The most important, the head of the kingdom, that is to say the most important provinces. So there's going to be, they're going to put a lot of things in stone. Basically with Moors, man, everybody will be looking at the fact that Moorish Americans, our flag look just like the flag of the Algarve Barbaria or Morocco we see over there today. And they make the claim that we are what they call culture vultures, of people who they consider to be Arabs or whatever, but those people don't call themselves Moors, they call themselves Moroccans. But this right here gonna tell you why, if anything, people call you all off us over here, right? Say the head of the kingdom. So that is to say the most important provinces were on the other side of the sea, which right is America. We talk about the Atlantic. Mentioned by chroniclers since the time when Islam was a great nation, which ran from the Middle East to the Indies. So I'm mixing. The Fez boat in 1818 was the province of this kingdom, so the one over there. In the 17th century, it declined mainly because of civil strife and constant intervention of Spain. We have allusions to trade, to the important library of the books stolen in the 1614 from Muli Kidan, another Moorish American, and to embassies, among which the 1937 stand out, which Friar of Franciscan Nicholas de Velasco headed it. In 1639, the Duke of Medina Sidonia, fearing the King of England would take over the Alcazaba and the city of Saleh by way of vassalage in the manner of the kings of Castile and Portugal, he warned Felipe IV that if it were to happen, the principles of conquest that the Spanish crown had introduced on that coast would be questioned. And it is known that the Spanish monarchs wielded the right of sovereignty over the whole of the American continent, but there is no news that they had the same claim on North Africa or the rest of the continent. So basically saying that all the old stuff to deal with the Spanish and Portuguese but mostly happened in America, not what we look at North Africa today, which happened much later with the Spanish and the French going into there. So when people say historical Moors and they try to act like we ain't got nothing to do with that, then that's where they at with it. They lost to the South. And they've been made to be lost, but these Carlos and Felipe's and them, they changed the maps. Diving their attention to hide Moorish America and the conquest of it. So it's the map of De La Costa and some of the place names. See, the Negro Rebel always been there. A lot of these names, these are Spanish, but they translated. So he really got like names that mean things. In the translation, translating them literally, but it might be one word on the map, on the Spanish, on the map of La Costa. Good dope already there. And she be like, Columbus had this back because he come from the same school. All about to that school of the Colon, set up by the Portuguese Holy Roman Emperor back in the day, 1200s, something like that, 1000s. The Templars and shit. And something more. Oh, this is another map. This from a different colonizer. Juan de la Costa up in the first map. This Diego de Lipe. This map. You got a place name called Christmas on that motherfucker. A story called Nico Rev on his map too. And Boca del Drago, Venezuela. And then we got Columbus. Yeah, Columbus. When they ain't got no spot right there, that means they got the same name as the last one. They just add different names. Oh yeah, change. If they got the same one, they got them changed. Isabella of Jumento changed to Las Perlas, Cumana, and babies changed to Caquique, which is another word for Sharife. Ayarte. You see Paria, Tierra Firme all showing up now with that cologne. And here's some more from the first one. And this right here is Española. The Spanish, that's what that is. And they got a story about the king of this place, Guanana. He ain't been no joke. He about to get on Columbus ship and he about to jump on Columbus ship and roll on the Spanish using that boy ship. I think I talk about that in another video. And here we got basically some of the last areas hold on tight from the Sharif and the Moors. And the importance of this area been some of the important areas to have in the whole continent. You see by the riverways, there's a lot of good land. It's one of the best lands you can have in the world. And try to hold on to it. We can see that it was called Guinea in Ethiopia in history. You see the kingdom of Sus, that Moor had been surprised had been taken. We got Jamaican. We got the kingdom of Fez. We got the new city of Fez. Been built in 1276 by the Moors of Cadiz. The Moors of Cadiz that get kicked out over there, and they came and built a city. No matter of fact, I lie. The Moors of Cadiz that get kicked out 18 and built this Fez over there. Later came over him, built this Fez. So this the city, the whole kingdom been called Fez at one point. But these regions, these kingdoms, which is Reino de Marraicos, the kingdom of Morocco. And the kingdom of Morocco got different cities. Azamor, Angla Satana, Mazagan, the Mazagan, New Mazagan, the Ajer River, the city of Morocco by the Echoes, which just means land of God. That's why you'll see this word a lot in history. It just means land of God or land of Moors. Safi, you can see that earlier. And then Cabo de Aguirre and Cabo Blanco, Cape White. Got Cape Orange over here somewhere. And we see Punta de Allende. Allende used to be one of those words also that mean that they just use for America generally at one point. Al and Mar being another word too. Al and Mar dealing with basically saying that overseas Moors, like that's how they used to say, separate us from other Moors. Like they, once they come across that water right there, that's Al and Mar. So we got Hierro. Hierro is the Portuguese conquest. Gomera. And you got Madeira. The island of Mogador. So people ain't really giving y'all the history like this. You gotta ask them what you did. Did you fight? Or you just sit there? Because they ain't telling you nothing. We got Saleh and the Alcazaba that we talked about earlier. We got Cape Orange, that's still later day. Anyone you see in black, still later day. I don't think this still later day though. Probably no Pyrenees, but still later day. And Rekife is still later day too. That's been shocking. And the islands, the Los Esclavos still there. Now, I don't think it's still later day, but you can find old maps with some of these on it. Primera means the first, which is the first cross. The river of the slaves, so called. Saleh. Okay. And Alarachi and Arkila. These on both sides. When you see the red, you can find them on both sides of the Atlantic. Because we name some of the cities the same name wherever we at as Moors. It's a bigger version. You got Sus, you got the River Merica, which is where Mecca is. You'll see that in another map in a little bit. So you can screenshot this right now. Madeira River right there. And this is one of the old maps that they show you on the internet, but they don't got no place names of it, but we can see. Put it there ourselves because we got the history, we got the records. And they showing you just the Spanish and Portuguese place names, except for Aguirre. And they believe it's the map Columbus had too. And right here you see the trade and the business or commerce of the Carthaginians in Indies. And today we can still find a place called the Carthage of the Indies. And you can see they've been buying and selling with the world. You know, we always try to make it like just because people been dressed like this that they've been uncivilized or unknown what's going on in the world. Shit. People been getting on ships, putting on suits and clothes and shit, doing what they want to do. But when you home, you more comfortable. And that's a color version of that map. Show you how they bounce from Spain and around. See the Canaries, that's the islands at this time. Man, could still get a part of it. They gonna chop away too and start naming stuff over again. But this Portuguese, they ain't really changed a lot of the stuff about this. Castilians did, but they did put Mina de Oro right there, cause that means the gold mine, which is the reason why they hired a lot of shit for the beginning. And we can see how one of the areas that they had needed to come in through, but they couldn't because we keep a tight hold on this little Oyapock, the Oyapock River. You can go find that on there too. Get the Cape Orange on Google Maps today. And you find this river, the Oyapock, just know that this used to be Saleh. Two Salehs. The Palazos of the Kingdom of Pharaoh. And we got again an old map that show Marathon, the original river that studied today. But we see the two rivers that they talk about. And on this side too, they talk about same thing. Tamisna on both sides. Also, matter of fact, everything in this area been on both sides, and that's why we got confused. Leon the African, with his help with the confusion. Remember, he been converted from Islam to Christianity, Catholicism. And that's where they find the Carthage of the Indies, because they started to find these place names over here where they came. They find a port of Carthage over here. And out of all the Carthage, she be like only one of them they probably name, and if that. They find them shit over here. And we find the antipode, hairless antipode on the map. Our period race. But you can see Africa, parts of Spain, America, South America area. San Miguel Tower. Already he claimed that tower. That tower showing up on P.V. May's map. That's how Benny. And some more place names. And they show you on this side from the Niger River how the stuff been. And just like that on the other side, the Negro River. This right here go back to pre-times. We're going to deal with that, the pre-1300, 1200. We're going to go back thousands of years. And this right here been basically Moors and Jews. They want to use common terms. Who set up, ancient Canaanites who set up these ports. She started to find them in this area, which is continuation of the same conquered area from Castile and Portugal, stepping in the hands of the Moors, and they conquered it. And now we see where the Moors get it from. They already been set up by their ancestors prior to that. We're gonna look at that. So bottom part of this map, so Mauritania, which also means land of Moors, and it's in earlier Latin. America would be a late Latin version. Same word, country or land of Moors. Bahia, right there. Cabo Frio, Cananea, Canaan or some shit. Monte Claros. Right here we got Merica, the Little Sea. Tenerife, remember? Conquerors were conquering over here on this Canary. This one, Gran Canaria. La Palma. And what else did I say? Talking about the Orinoco, we talk about El Dorado. You see, Barbaria again, land of Moors. Now we got Barbados and stuff like that. Boca de la Sierpe. That's the Mother of the Dragon. You got the two Cape Greens. Rio Verde. go with Lanzarote. Remember, that's where they come down at. That's where all they get first. When they come down. This right here. That's why the word Lanzarote going all the way down until you get to the other part of South America. You got Iguana, which is the daughter of one of the Portuguese kings. This ended up being Castile. There's a whole lot of story that go into that right there. That's crazy shit. What happened with that? And continue. As we can see, the Matamoros, the Moor killers, coming to set up all us but India, and they've been all trying to get rid of anything Moorish because it's been Moros versus Cristianos. Find Carthage everywhere. You see Gran Canaria. And look up, go to Portobello and look up Negro Crystals. Try to find some interesting stuff with that. And you can see different indigenous words for Carthage, like Catayo, Kataski, and all over. And you got the Morabito show up on the scene, ready to destroy everything, even righteous. As you can see all the different Metamoros, especially the one in San Miguel de Allende and the Valle de Mesquito. Just prove the point that it's Moorish America because they come to kill Moors and should say more killers, more killers, more killers. I don't see no other killers killing nothing else. These other funny names we using today. So let's go backwards. Matter of fact, let's start from the oldest. So according to what the records we got on this planet that we get access, which he tried to access plenty of records from the US government and all these other England and all these people, but they hit on her and try to stop her from doing what she do. But she get good records from the Spanish, of course, and the Portuguese and all that shit. But after going through all the records, we can get a good look at the Americas, the formation of it. So we got the Reino de Tarsis, which is a mixture of Israelites and Moabites, which is a bunch of Canaanites. Just go right into chapter 7. And we see them little spots. It's basically saying them port cities that been set up. We know that the Spanish kingdom based off the setup of the ports, because you know you gotta be on land. You over here setting up ports like that shit. So we call Ethiopia still at this time, and Island of Fortuna's been known at this time, and Hesperides been known at this time. Handle, this was dealing with handle and navigating the Carthaginians early shit. Cape Nam and Postelera Carnaria all exist. So it's the earliest time. So let's go to another epoch. Maybe something, you know, 24 degrees from the equator, north and south was Africa, going across the whole world. We know that by now. So we get to the time of Carthage and Rome. We already got Carthago. These are the same people from this, so ain't nobody come conquered it and take over not yet. Just names changing. Got Numidia now, and you got it called Land of Moors now, Mauritania. You got these same Phoenicians and Canaanites in this era, but now known as Moors. Land of Moors, Mauritania. Numidia, Geta, and Ethiopia still being on. You see the Anthropo de la Mucas, and you got the Anthropo de Guinea, which is the Antipoda. I can't really explain right now. Let me see. Mulaccas already there. Then we move to the times of a little bit before around 711 AD, right before the conquest of Spain and all that. And we can see how early this is, but we already got Virginia at play. Fort Henry at play and New France at play now. And we got the different names: Capango, Catayo, Cataski, Palma, Terra Alta, Tierra Firme. So yeah, this a little bit after 1492, because Terra Firme show up. Got the Kingdom of Fez, got Guinea, the whole place basically called Land of Moors again, Barbaria, and Cabo de Aguirre exists. All these red cities, stuff, they exist on both sides, so she just put them up here. Everything up here exists on both sides at the same time. And you got Rio de Oro, Aguim, Cabo Blanco, and Funea, not Gunea, Sierra Leona, Funea, Sierra Leona over here, and St. Gorge de Mina, that's the mine, and that's the Algarve de Barbaria, which is what we were talking about earlier, became the Morocco, which is how we see it today. It's the only place called Morocco to people in the world today. So she already explained the head of that kingdom was on the other side of the sea. And its most important provinces. And let's get a little bit more deeper. So as we can see, the feds of 1818, like she say, the rebate still there, and the feds of 1276. Now we got the islands of the Indies showing up, and Asia showing up. That's why we trying to tell people this show up later in history. This one right here is before 1490, or the beginning of the conquest, and this high ain't up. This the Portuguese version, or this the Spanish version for one reason. I'm looking at Finlandia and Bacalaos, which is Cape the Card, all under the Moors who've been going back and forth from up here to right here, selling tobacco and shit like that. Virginia and those northern states are in part of it. So I guess this one is the last one, the latest. But I don't know why she got the Canaries on this one and got the Indies on this one, because that's what we know it as. And I'll even up to now today it's still called the West Indies or the Indies. It's Islander. So anyway, let's continue. And you see the whole thing called the Kingdom of Fez to them. I just want to show more place names, so this one should be later. And Marpequina ain't over here no more. And all these places definitely ain't over here no more, so interesting how she got this. That's just the time of the Benny Marines, like they got over here. And one of them was the time of Carthage, and one of them was after. I think that's the time of the Benny Marines. Or this one. Yeah, this one. Got all the Moorish kingdoms. And those Benny Marines, and you see the Moors lost their nationality. I mean, the Moorish Navy fell, and they got up the war. And the Marines. The sons of the Marines. The Benny Marines are the Marines. By the Moorish Navy. So that's it for this one. See y'all in the next one.